Welcome to the Operation Game Night podcast. We are back with another special operation. Joining me, as always, one is the loneliest number, Clayton Gable. How you doing, Clay?
I'm doing really good, Travis. I am lonely. I don't have people to game with, and I'm hoping that we can work through this together today in this special operation.
Speaking of lonely, Mr. Lonely himself, Jared Lonely Erickson. How you doing, Jared?
I'm a lot better now that I have you two here with me. Not so lonely anymore. Well, I did see behind you, Clay. I did see Mary walk by a couple minutes ago, and you might not be so lonely. You just have to maybe look up and look around.
You need like a mirror. If you're gonna have the door open, you need like a mirror because she's gonna be lurking in the background like a serial killer, and you gotta be
Yeah,
I
head
know
on a
that's
swivel.
kind of scary, actually. I want to close the door now.
Hey,
I-
we're on the hunt for a VIP on
that's
Operation
right.
Game Night. It could be Mary.
I think we need to have all the spouses on.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
send them this episode.
That's the next special operation.
Special
Yes,
operation.
we should do that. Also, Clay.
Yeah.
She struck an excellent like Bigfoot pose on the way across, like perfectly
She did.
look like turning to the side and looking right at the camera and everything. So I'm gonna have to crop that out and post it on the socials. But
Yes,
that's funny.
please do.
anyways, today we are Lonely Boys, and we are talking about how we are going to find game groups in our new locations. We are now in new cities with new friends, new family, and we need to build up our game group again. We talked about this in episode 4 of Operation Game Night way back when.
Whoa.
And this is kind of a revisit / twist on this episode because before we were talking about just building a game group, right? We talked about finding new people to invite to game nights, how to find new gaming groups. But now some of us are in established locations where we have family and friends nearby. Some of us are moving to places that are well populated and probably have huge amounts of game meetups. And some of us are in Montgomery, Alabama, where there's no gaming going on. So, Jared, I want to pick your brain a little bit about what you did while you were here. So, Clay, how are you going to approach like building up your game posse there in PA?
Yeah, I should have listened back to episode 4, knowing that we were doing this. It would have been helpful. But alas, I'm not that professional. But I do know I was pretty cocky in that episode. I thought I had it all figured out. I had a lot of people to game with. I was like, this is what you do. Ba, ba, da, ba. It's going to be so easy. And now I sit here. I all but cried to Mary the other night. I said, I used to look forward to Fridays. We had the Heddens. Usually Saturday we played with the Spanglers. Like, I have nothing to look forward to. I have no game nights. I'm just a sad boy, just looking forward to unpacking boxes and staring at my wall of games, hoping that maybe my children will play with me at some point. But I think, out the gate, my first instinct, like Travis mentioned, I am here in Pennsylvania, where I'm surrounded by a lot of old friends and family. This is where the roots are. I got people all around that know I'm a nerd and will be easy to at least lure over a time or two. So hopefully I come correct those initial times that I can get some people over. My cousin and her husband are actually, we play games on vacation. They blow my mind. They're great gamers, but they're very busy doctors. I don't know how often they're going to be willing to roll up here and really, get into the midnight hours of running back games of Hot Streak. But I do have a lot of hope that I can eventually groom them into a good gaming partnership. And we're always having family get-togethers, but it's always a lot of people, and I don't even want to broach the idea of like trying to facilitate games with that many people. So yeah. I'm kind of trying to pick them off onesie twosie for now, and then maybe later, once I've cultivated a real passion, we can start getting big. But that's first thoughts. And I also, there is a game store about 2 miles away. Not a lot of board games. They're more into the Warhammer, D&D stuff. But I was on their website, and they do have a Tuesday night board game night.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
So maybe if I'm feeling extroverted and desperate, I will go there and see what that's all about. But that scares me to no end. So I don't know.
That's intimidating. Like when we were leaving Germany, I was packing up all our board games and stuff, and we were doing our out processing. And I walked through one of the buildings that we had to go for out processing. And on the door on the way out, they had a big poster that said like, join the Great Gaming Expo or Great Gaming Gala or whatever. They had like a weekly Thursday meetup on base just to play board games. And I was like, wow, where has this been for the last 2 years? So yeah, wasted time. But you feel like you have to like build up the people in your family as gamers. Like they're all very entry level, and like you got to get them to like the big boy game nights. Is there anybody that you think like can really go deep on the big boy game nights?
Yeah, I mean, I think my cousin and her husband are the two that first strike me. My aunt, she lives in Pittsburgh, but she comes around a lot, and she like really loves the idea of gaming, and like she plays Wingspan and loves that. And I think she would be down for literally anything. She's that type of person. So I'm hopeful that the next time she comes to town, we'll get something in. But just going back to the game group meetup, and Jared, we'll get you involved here in a second. I can see
Don't worry, I'm just sitting here licking my chops. I'm loving it.
I can see you're itching to say something. It isn't like it's intimidating, and it's intimidating because I don't want to waste my time. We're all busy people, and I don't want to go somewhere and then be stuck somewhere with people that I'm really wish I wasn't hanging out with for an evening, when I could just be kicking back, watching TV with Mary, or, working on the house, doing important, family stuff. So that's like my biggest fear about going to one of these meetups is that, I'll go there and you're just not jiving with the people, or they're taking it too seriously, or, you get wrapped up in a game that takes forever because they're got analysis paralysis, or they're playing Wingspan with 6 people. Like, just so many unknowns could happen. I like to be in control of that environment. So,
well, is there any, does like Board Game Geek do any kind of geolocation for like, I really want to play like Feast for Odin around this zip code? Do they do anything like that?
I don't think they don't do any like specific games like that, I don't think, but like you can definitely go into their community tab, and they have like events and stuff, and you can join guilds, and they have like events that people can post into Board Game Geek. In fact, I think that's how I found my Germany meetup, was the Board Game Geek community thread for Germany. And I will say, like, Clay, I had the same apprehension on going to that one, especially because I could show up and not speak the same language as all the people there. And they were like more than welcoming. I kind of just hovered around some tables until I got invited in, and they were super helpful. And even if you go just to like scope it out, like don't go to participate, go once, check out the game store itself while the game event is going on, scope it out, see what it's like. If they're like going hard with like laser levels and stuff for Warhammer, maybe it's not your scene, but if like they have tables that are available, that's how you
laser levels for Warhammer. I might be into Warhammer.
Dude.
I like laser levels.
It's like line of sight. They sell like line of sight lasers. I'm getting down a rabbit hole.
Whoa.
But anyways, maybe go like check it out while that event's going on, and then you can kind of see what the vibe is like, and then integrate yourself. People will have already seen you before the next time you go, and then you can say like, "Hey, I was here last week. I was just kind of poking around. I saw that you guys are gaming. I want in." So,
at these board game meetups, do you bring your own games, or do you? I guess it depends on every meetup, but like at a board game shop, if they have a meetup, do you just play their games or do you bring your games? I guess you can do both.
Probably varies shop to shop.
I think most board gamers are going to roll up with a bag full of games.
These are my
So everybody's always kind of jockeying to see whose game's going to get played, and somebody has to tuck their tail and be like, okay, fine, we can play mine next week or whatever. But at least that's what I've seen. I think I followed diligently on Discord. There was a Colorado Springs Board Game Club Discord. Never went to it, but I followed their Discord, and they would post like before the game day happened. They did this on Saturdays from like 10 to 6 or something in the afternoon. People would just be like, yeah, I'm planning on playing, this and this. And people would be like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to play that. And so it seemed like a pretty good place to like kind of go and know what you might be getting into. But again, I was lucky enough to have people to play with. So I never was bold enough to show my face. I'm just so scared of being like, standing around, like that kid that's not picked in gym class.
Is it the fear of rejection?
Yeah. What if they don't like me?
Oh, he'd rather try than be exposed as a fraud.
Oh.
Yes. He is George Costanza. He's George Costanza. He's just gonna rather not try than be exposed.
Exactly.
All right. So you got your family that you're building up. Do you have any like people at work or anything that you're trying to hone in on? Do you think a hint that they might be gamers?
Dude, we're no longer working in the Space Force with a relatively nerdy audience.
These guys have hard hats now.
Yeah, I walk through the offices at my new company, and a lot of deer heads on the wall. Almost everybody's got a hunting cabin or fishing cabin.
Hell yeah, brother!
I'm not going to prejudge and say they wouldn't be interested, but I am not staking my claim on getting a lot of gamers from Garrity Glass.
As somebody who's been stationed in Wyoming and has antlers hanging on walls in the house, I take offense to that. You should take a stab and go ask some people.
Never judge a book by its cover. You ever heard that?
I said I was trying not to. I'm just not optimistic, but I'm not rolling it out. Jared, what are you going to do, man?
Maybe just segue them in, like play a little Glass Road or something, like Garrity Glass Road. Board games. What do you know?
Sagrada. Ever heard of Sagrada?
Play some stained glass. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You guys are smart.
I don't know how I don't know if they dabble in that, but
you guys are passionate about glass. Let's play some games about glass.
Okay.
Surprisingly, there are some.
I have a challenge for you, Clayton.
Yeah.
Why don't you put up your Operation Game Night sticker?
Yeah.
Put
that somewhere in your office.
On
you have a hard hat yet? You talked about a hard
hat. No, they haven't let me do work.
You said you were going to get a hard hat or something like that. They were going to, you're going to take you somewhere. Someone was going to maybe, no.
I was trying. I've been lobbying for it, but nobody. I don't look like a person they want as a liability on a job site. Let's just say that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to save some stuff for Over the Fence, but
save
we're going to talk about that. Okay. But yeah, I challenge you to put your little Operation Game Night sticker somewhere in your workspace, and maybe it'll be a conversation starter. And you'll be like, yeah, you ever play some board games? Hit them with a little spots, a little gateway game. Boom. Because if we learned anything from the episode 4, which from what I remember, I just talked about food the whole time.
That was your main
feed them.
It was more about the connection, and if you like them, you can do anything with people. Yeah. With this group of 3 right here, I'm pretty sure we can do anything. I mean, we could probably do Warhammer, and we could probably crush it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I remember hearing something about hulky bulky Marines. We could probably do that pretty well.
Yeah.
It's about just find that little put a little Operation Game Night sticker in there. You'll find them.
Well, I'm sick I'm sick of talking about me. I want to hear what you're gonna do, Jared.
Well, you know what? What I'm going to do, actually, Adri, she's the one who got me onto this. Down the street from my place is a bookstore. And the bookstore every other Wednesday does a game night meetup. The other Wednesday is D&D, which I've never done D&D one shots. They only do one shots.
Oh, nice.
Listen, I've been telling you, we got to get a Root one shot going. Root
I know.
RPG.
I was listening to our Join Ups June, and you were talking about one shots, and so I know. So I might have to get into that.
Vic is also down to do a one shot with us. Yeah. Anyways, continue.
So Adrian was like, I mean, I'm just saying, there's this thing. Like, would you be interested in that? Which, think of that, Adri coming to me about game nights. Like, whoa.
Yeah,
that's growth right there. I mean, I was very excited to hear about that. But I mean, I do have Cole that lives right down the street as well. He showed me his game collection just the other night. I mean, he's got Ahoy. He's got he's got some of the classics. Raw. I mean, I stuck my hand. I made him open up his box, a little box fart. I got my hand inside his bags. I was feeling his little tiles. He's got a great little collection, small collection, packs a wallop. He'd also be a great VIP. I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah. Do you know I curated that collection for him?
I had a taste of Clayton. You know.
Yeah. He gave me a set amount of money. And he said, buy me games to take to DC. And I said, you got it, buddy.
Dude.
Yeah.
I wish my collection was curated by Clay.
It's curated by me.
That's true.
Even better.
I've had many a box come to my doorstep via Travis. So
you may get another one because I am stressing after unpacking all these games. But anyways.
Okay. More things to say for Over the Fence because there's no room. I'm still in the hotel. So, but that's kind of why I was kind of very much looking forward to this podcast specifically because, what am I supposed to do when I go to this? It's a bookstore, so it's not. I'm sure the bookstore has some board games, because a lot of these bookstores these days do carry, a handful of board games. So it's not exclusively board games. So do I bring? Oh, I'm not going to bring Arnak right off the bat. But maybe
don't limit yourself.
Maybe in a couple weeks. I don't know. And then
this is not like Barnes and Noble. This is like a local shop mall. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like they'd be okay with you bringing Arnak and bring the big boys, man. Let it rip.
Whatever you bring, just know you got to be ready to.
I got to be
teach
teaching.
it. You got to be teaching it, and people aren't going to want to tolerate any rule book reading.
That's right. I got to know this stuff like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Nope. Look.
Don't be pulling up Rodney videos while you're sitting there in a bookstore.
Oh no. Well,
don't start punching Undaunted.
Oh, Undaunted. Oh my gosh. Undaunted would be a badass one. Man, if I could get a game group here in Virginia that could hit Undaunted like I did down there in Alabama, man, that's when you've struck gold. But I don't know. So
you've got some promise.
I do have some promise.
A little bit of promising leads. You got bookstore. You got Cole. You got a curated collection.
You better get on Cole quick with what's going on in his life, man. You better start those game nights because it ain't gonna last forever.
Yeah.
No. We're all gonna be holding babies soon. So
yeah.
But though, I mean, I got Clayton. Oh my gosh, we got our next visitor here. But I do also have Clayton 2 hours up the road. I mean,
that's pretty close.
If you want to hit it real big, you call your big boy. Okay. Your big boy's coming up to Pennsylvania. Okay. You just
bring it here, buddy.
So I'll do it. Say less. But okay. But any advice? Do I bring the bad boy? Do I bring the heat? Do I lessen the personality? Do I amp it up? Do I leave it the same?
Well,
I definitely wouldn't amp it up.
I suppose a bookstore is not like a library where you have to be quiet. But I'm like, I don't know. I just be your authentic self, Jared. And if they kick you out for being yourself, then maybe that's not a place you want to hang out. How about that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't put this light under a bushel. You know?
Let it shine, baby.
Yeah, peacock, gotta let you fly.
Travis, you're surrounded now, like Jared was, with a bunch of peers in Squadron Officer School together.
Yep.
Are you going to be as successful as Jared was getting those little Air Force majors into board games?
I've been thinking about this. One, I feel like you can mostly tell who would be on board for game nights just by like their aura as they walk around in these halls, like with their peers, because people definitely like, especially when they're first meeting each other. I sat there with maybe 200 people all sitting in a big briefing hall or whatever. People walk around with a certain air about them where you're like, that guy's not cool with playing board games. That girl's not cool with playing board games. I'm not going to write them off. But I need some help, Jared. You gamed mainly with your flight, like the people in your room. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, I also had built-in buddies from previous relationships from the academy. So I leaned on prior friends. So,
but you took a different. You
might have to hit
approach.
up Jason Cons. I think Jason Cons. He might be a tough nut to crack. But any football related board games here?
Blood Bowl. There's Blood Bowl, which is also Warhammer related. So
okay.
Yeah, I've been kind of like thinking about that, and you were not so like upfront about it with your flight, though, that you were a board gamer.
No, I think the flight board gaming came on too late. So
don't be late, Travis.
Don't be late to the game, but don't be too early. Maybe hit it hard after we come back from World Series of board gaming, because then they'll be like, "Oh, where'd you go this weekend?" You'll be like, "World Series of board gaming." And they'd be like,
in the World Series.
You guys should be coming over to play board games with me.
I was thinking about maybe like sprinkling in something like just a little drop in the bucket during like introductions. Like,
it's so easy.
I'm an engineer. I come with my share of nerdiness, so I'm all down for game nights or something. If anybody wants a game night, just kind of throw it out, float it out there, and see if that message in a bottle comes back.
Dude, all they do is icebreakers at these type of things, and they're all like, "Oh, what's an interesting thing about you?" I have 200 board games. People are like, "What? They made Monopoly 200 times?" So
yes, they did.
Like I literally put that in my Garrity glass. They sent out an email. "Hey, welcome Clay to the team. Here's some facts about him. He likes board games." I opened the door. People have stopped by my office and asked about it.
You know what? Maybe here's a challenge for myself. If I'm ever in a position when I'm starting my new job, when they're like, and say something interesting about yourself. I haven't had this yet. I'll be like, I have a board game podcast with two of my best friends that I went to the academy with. That
there you go.
Could open up some doors. They'd be like,
great,
what?
Glass breaker.
Just break some glass.
Nice.
Icebreaker. I'm stupid.
No, we were talking about glass. I like it.
Glass.
I thought that was a clever reference.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was beautiful. I
played it off. No big deal.
I was running with it. Fearless leader. Hell, that's a good, when you're introducing yourself, boom. Because you have to do it for every class that you start. Your teacher needs to know something interesting about yourself and where you're from and what's your AFSC.
Yeah, you'll get asked that
and
600 times.
and your fellow flight mates will be like, I know exactly where he's from and how many kids he has and how many brothers.
All the boring stuff.
Well, actually, that's not always true because sometimes people just stop listening.
That's fair too. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to pick your brain because you had a pretty good rotation of board games by the time you left. And while we did not get a chance to play any big boy games, I want to follow in your footsteps and use your trajectory as a launch pad to reach even greater heights. I want to stand on the shoulders of giants. And that giant is Jared Erickson.
Oh,
and I want to reach for the highest of heights and grasp what can be excellent board gaming.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's not necessarily, the meetups in that location. I couldn't find too many of those. There's one game store. Did you go to it yet?
So I found a shop called Game Exchange, which does mainly like video games, movies, and it swaps all of that stuff. It also said tabletop games. It's at the very bottom of the list, tabletop games. So I popped my head in there and I took a look around. They had like Trivial Pursuit and like Monopoly sitting on the shelf. And I took a stab and I asked the store owner, I said, do you guys like do an exchange program? Can I like bring in games for store credit? And they said that they were going to give me 20% of list value. 20%. And I'm like, that is not worth it. So anyways, all that to be said, I'm going to probably start a game exchange on our like Discord or something because I need to refresh and get rid of some of these things. And I just need to find an easy way to do that. So anyways, Discord. Follow us on Discord, everybody, because I'll post the link in the show notes. But yeah, join our Discord and maybe get on some game swaps.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
And also let us know what you guys do for meetups and getting your game groups going.
That's right.
Is food enough? I don't know. Maybe is food enough? I don't know.
That's the like subtitle for your autobiography.
I know.
Is food enough? The Jared Erickson story. Oh man.
No.
This has been another successful episode of the Operation Game Night podcast. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and share the podcast if you're enjoying our content, or tell us what we can do better. Hit us up on Instagram at Operation Game Night Podcast and join our Discord for more board game shenanigans. For Operation Game Night, I have been Travis. He has been Clay. He has been Jared. And we are out.